Some curses are never meant to be broken because they never truly die. She thought she left the past behind, but the past never left her. A forgotten legacy calls her back, demanding what was promised long ago. Will she escape or become its next victim? Stay tuned for the complete video. Like, comment, and subscribe for more. Let's start the story. The wind howled through the narrow paths of Kisimba, a village carved from time itself. The night air carried a whisper, a voice so faint it could have been mistaken for the wind moving through the ancient baobab trees. But Nia knew better. She had heard it before. She walked briskly along the dirt path, her shawl pulled tight around her shoulders, her bare feet damp from the evening's rain. The village slept, unaware of the storm raging within her. The closer she got to her mother's hut, the heavier her steps became, as if the earth itself was trying to slow her down, trying to stop her from speaking the words that would change everything. Inside the hut, her mother sat by the fire, the flickering flames casting long shadows against the mud walls. She didn't look up as Nia entered. "You should not have come," the old woman murmured. Nia ignored the warning, stepping closer, the weight in her chest growing unbearable. It has started again. The fire crackled. Her mother stirred the pot, her movements slow, deliberate. The scent of boiling herbs filled the air, thick and suffocating. "Tell me," her mother said finally. Nia's hands trembled as she spoke. The dreams, the voices, they are getting stronger. Her voice dropped to a whisper. "And the thing in the shadows, it is watching me again." The stirring stopped. Her mother finally lifted her head, her eyes dark and knowing. "It never stopped watching, Nia." Nia shook her head. "I was just a child. I didn't know what I was doing." "You knew," her mother said simply. "You chose." Tears burned in Nia's eyes. "I didn't choose this." Her mother sighed, her gaze softening. "We do not always choose, child. Sometimes we are chosen." A gust of wind rushed through the small hut, making the flames dance wildly. The old woman took a slow breath. "You must go back." Nia's stomach clenched. "No, you must. I can't." Her mother's voice was steady. "If you do not, it will take what it is owed." Silence hung between them, heavy and unbreakable. The past had found her again, and this time it would not let go. The trees loomed tall and endless, their gnarled branches twisting against the dark sky. The path leading to the old shrine was overgrown, the earth damp beneath Nia's feet. She had sworn never to return to this place, yet here she was. The shrine stood ahead, a crumbling relic of stone and wood, untouched by time, untouched by man. The carvings were still there, symbols of protection, of warning, and then she felt it, the presence. It moved like smoke, unseen but heavy in the air. The wind carried a whisper, her name stretched into something unholy. Nia. She froze. The voice had no source, no direction. It was simply there, inside her, around her. "You have come back." Her breath shuddered. "I didn't have a choice." A slow, knowing chuckle. "There is always a choice." She clenched her fists. "Then let me choose now. Let me end this." The shadows deepened. The air grew thick. "You cannot end what you are." Nia's pulse roared in her ears. "I am not yours." The darkness moved. It peeled itself from the trees, forming a shape that was both human and not. Eyes like burning coals locked onto hers, a slow smile stretching across its shifting face. "But you are, child. You have always been mine." A chill slithered down Nia's spine. The wind died. The silence pressed against her skin like a suffocating weight. The figure lifted a hand. Nia could not move. Cold fingers brushed against her forehead. A sharp pain sliced through her skull. She screamed. The world went black. Nia awoke with a gasp, her body drenched in sweat. She was lying in the damp earth, the shrine looming above her. But something was wrong. The presence was no longer around her. It was inside her. A slow, sickening realization settled in her bones. She had not broken the cycle. She had become it. Her breath came in sharp, uneven bursts. She clutched her chest, feeling the unnatural stillness inside her. "You cannot fight what you are," the voice whispered. Tears burned in her eyes. I am not you. The laugh was soft, amused. You always were. Naya clenched her fists. She wanted to run, to deny it, to claw the presence out of her body, but she knew the truth. She was not the same woman who had walked into this forest. She never would be again, and deep down she knew this was just the beginning. The sun barely peeked over the horizon as Naya stumbled through the forest, her body weak, her mind in chaos. Her feet moved instinctively, leading her back toward the village. Yet with every step, she felt the weight inside her growing heavier. The presence inside her slithered beneath her skin like a whisper, coiling itself around her bones, waiting. She gritted her teeth, pushing forward. The village was close now. She could see the distant glow of the first cooking fires, smell the scent of morning millet being prepared. A normal day had begun for everyone else, but for her, nothing would ever be normal again. As she reached the outskirts of the village, she felt it before she saw it. Eyes, watching. She turned, expecting to see nothing but the empty path behind her, but she was wrong. A figure stood at the tree line, half hidden in the shadows. A woman, wrapped in a tattered cloak, her face obscured by a deep hood. But Nia knew better than to trust what her eyes saw. The woman lifted a hand, her fingers curling in a slow, deliberate motion, a silent beckoning. Nia's breath hitched. She knew who this was. The seer. Her mother had spoken of her in warnings, in whispers, a woman who walked between the world of the living and the dead, neither here nor there, bound to the whispers of spirits long forgotten. And now she was waiting for Nia. Against every instinct screaming for her to run, Nia stepped forward. The woman did not move. She simply turned and disappeared into the trees. Nia followed. The path twisted and turned, the thick canopy above blocking out most of the morning light. The deeper they went, the colder the air became. Nia wrapped her arms around herself, trying to steady her breath. Finally, the seer stopped in a small clearing. Nia hesitated, waiting. The woman turned, and for the first time, Nia saw her face. She was old, impossibly so. Her skin was like cracked earth, her eyes clouded yet piercing, as if she saw far beyond the physical world. You should not have returned, the seer murmured. Nia clenched her fists. I didn't have a choice. The seer tilted her head, considering. And yet, you chose to enter the shrine. Nia's stomach twisted. I wanted to end it. The seer's lips curled into something that was not quite a smile. You cannot end what is already inside you. A chill slithered down Nia's spine. The seer stepped closer, her bony fingers reaching out. Nia wanted to step back, but she was frozen in place. The woman's fingers pressed lightly against Nia's forehead. A rush of images flooded her mind. A girl, one that looked like her but was not her, kneeling before the shrine. A mark burned into her chest, a symbol Nia had seen carved into the shrine's stone, blood dripping onto the earth. A voice, the same voice that now whispered inside her. The debt must be paid. Nia gasped, stumbling back. The seer's expression remained unreadable. Do you see it now? Nia shook her head. No, that wasn't me. The seer's gaze did not waver. It was, in another time, another life. The blood that binds you to this curse is older than you. It is in your bones, your spirit. You were always meant to return. Nia's hands trembled. Then tell me how to break it. The seer exhaled softly, shaking her head. To break it is to break yourself. Are you willing to do that? Nia's breath hitched. The presence inside her stirred. A deep chuckle echoed in her skull. She lies, little one. There is no escape. Nia clutched her head. Make it stop. The seer's expression darkened. You do not command it. It commands you. The longer you resist, the stronger it becomes. Nia's knees buckled. She barely caught herself before collapsing. You must choose, Nia, the seer continued, her voice calm yet firm. Become what you were meant to be, or destroy yourself before it takes full control. Nia's heart pounded. A choice, one she never wanted. The seer turned away, stepping into the shadows. When you are ready, you will find me again. Then she was gone. Nia fell to her knees, gasping for air. Inside her, the presence shifted, its voice soft and cruel. "You are already mine." A single tear slid down Nia's cheek. She wasn't sure she had the strength to fight, and she wasn't sure she wanted to. The days blurred together. Nia moved through the village as if trapped in a dream, her body present, her mind elsewhere. The presence inside her had grown stronger. It no longer whispered only in the dead of night. It spoke to her in broad daylight, its voice threading through her thoughts like creeping vines, twisting, coiling, suffocating. She barely ate, barely slept. Her mother watched her with knowing eyes but said nothing. She had done all she could. The rest was up to Nia now. The seer's words haunted her. To break it is to break yourself. Was she willing to do that? She wasn't sure. And then, one night, the presence took control. Nia woke to the sound of her own voice, but she wasn't speaking. She was chanting. Low, guttural words she did not understand, spilling from her lips like a prayer to something unholy. Her hands were outstretched before her, her fingers tracing symbols in the air, moving with a will that was not her own. The shadows in the room shifted. They moved. A figure peeled itself from the darkness, tall, gaunt, inhuman. Eyes like burning coals fixed on her, and a slow smile stretched across its face. "It is time, little one." Nia's breath hitched. Her body refused to move. She wanted to scream, to run, but she was frozen. A puppet, and it was the master. The presence inside her welcomed it. The shadow stepped closer, reaching out a hand. "Come to me." A cold wind swept through the room. Nia's feet moved, not by choice. The thing in the darkness tilted its head, as if waiting for her to accept what she had become. A part of her wanted to. It would be easier, no more fighting, no more fear. She could simply give in. Her hands lifted, ready to touch its own, and then a sharp pain erupted in her chest. She gasped, doubling over. The presence inside her screamed. The shadow hissed, its form flickering, retreating. Nia's knees buckled and she collapsed onto the floor. Her breath came in ragged bursts, her fingers digging into the dirt beneath her. The shadow lingered at the edge of the room, watching. "You are weak," it murmured, almost amused. "But I will wait. You will come to me soon." And then it was gone. Nia lay motionless, her heart hammering against her ribs. The truth settled inside her like a sickness. She had almost given in. And the next time, she might not be strong enough to stop it. She went back to the forest. The seer was waiting for her. This time there were no riddles, no cryptic warnings. "How do I stop this?" Nia demanded. The seer regarded her with tired eyes. "You already know the answer." Nia clenched her fists. "Tell me anyway." The seer stepped closer. "You must destroy what binds you to it. Cut the thread before it consumes you completely." Nia swallowed. The shrine, a slow nod. She had known it all along. The shrine was where it had begun, and it was where it had to end. The night was thick with silence as Nia approached the clearing. The shrine stood waiting. The carvings on its stone glowed faintly in the moonlight, symbols that had haunted her dreams. She carried nothing but a knife and her resolve. The presence inside her was angry. "You would betray me?" She ignored it. She stepped forward, lifting the knife. The wind howled through the trees. The air shifted, and suddenly she wasn't alone. Figures emerged from the shadows, dozens of them. Their faces were hidden by masks of bone and ash, their eyes glowing with something ancient. The foreigners. Nia's blood ran cold. The presence inside her laughed. "You are not the first to try it. You will not be the last." The figures surged forward. Nia lifted the knife. The world exploded into darkness. This is the end of Section 3. The tension has reached its peak, leading to the final battle in the shrine. The darkness swallowed her whole. Nia felt herself sinking, weightless yet drowning, her body torn between two realities. The presence inside her screamed, its rage echoing in the void, but she did not give in. Not yet. Then, light. A piercing white glow split the shadows apart, and Nia hit the blade skittered across the stone out of reach. Hands grabbed her. Cold. Unnatural. Too late. They pinned her down, a voice deep and resonant filled the air. The leader of the followers. You were chosen. You belong to us. The presence inside her laughed, feeding off the power around her. Yes, accept. Give in. Nia clenched her fists, her nails digging into her palms. The weight of centuries pressed down on her. The voices of all those before her had succumbed. She was not dead. She would not be the next. With every ounce of strength left in her, she twisted, breaking free of the hands that held her. She dug. The moment her fingers wrapped around the hilt, the air shifted. A force rippled outward, sending the followers stumbling back. The presence inside her howled. No! She rose to her feet, blade gleaming. With one final breath, she plunged the knife into the shrine's stone. The earth shook. A deafening crack split the air as the shrine shattered, releasing a wave of energy that sent the figures around her reeling. The presence inside her screamed. Then, silence. The followers collapsed, their masks crumbling into dust. The night air was still once more, and inside her chest, the presence was gone. Nia fell to her knees, her breath ragged, her body trembling. She had won. She had broken the cycle. But as she stared at the ruins of the shrine, a single thought chilled her to the bone. Had she truly destroyed it? Or had she merely set it free? The village woke to a new dawn, the air lighter, the tension of the past days lifted like mist over the hills. Nia walked through the streets, her steps slow. She had changed. Her mother saw it first. She did not speak. She only met Nia's gaze with quiet understanding, the kind that came with knowing too much and saying too little. You are free, she murmured. Nia exhaled, for now. Her mother reached for her hand, squeezing gently. That is enough. Nia wasn't sure if it was. She felt different, lighter, but the knowledge of what had once lived inside her never truly failed. She had fought the darkness. She had won. But deep in the forest, beneath the ruins of the shrine, the wind carried a whisper, waiting, watching. Because some curses never die. They simply wait for the next one to come calling. Moral lesson. The past is never truly buried, and the choices of those before us can shape the paths we walk. To fight fate is to risk becoming it, but those with the courage to stand against the darkness can change its course. The battle may be won, but the war never truly ends. Want more spine-chilling stories? Watch the next video now. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on notifications for more dark African folktales. The darkness is never far. See you in